Hey, my name is Aries, and I have been documenting my journey to get fit-ish. But lately, my journey has gone behind the camera, and that's happened for a few different reasons. So I'd like to take some time to update you on what's been going on, why I need to take a step away, and what the future holds. So it's been a while. Welcome back if you're a returning viewer, and if you're new here, I've been at this for just over 2 years, documenting my journey, trying to show the good, the bad, the ugly, and sometimes, sometimes it's not the greatest. So I have been struggling with my weight for well over basically my whole life, but drastically struggling for at least a year and a half now. And that has been really hard mentally. I took some time to try and go to my family doctor, which wasn't much help. So then I reached out to a naturopathic doctor, which seemed like it was going to be the answers. And then that didn't really work out. And so I've been trying to figure it out all on my own. And every time I get into a rhythm with something else pops up and gets in the way. So I'm going to take you back. I believe the last video was just before I went on a solo vacation to Mexico. I get more vacation time at work than my partner does. So he stayed home and I went on my own. It was just to an all-inclusive resort. I didn't do anything but lay in the sun and soak up some, vitamin D and just read and, relax. I came home with amazing tan, but I also came home with some not so pleasant things, which I thought initially was food poisoning. But that never went away. So that led into a whole new thing. But before I get into that, when we got back from Mexico, was it before or after? For a while, Mike and I had gotten into a really good routine with food. So, we've been cooking our food home for quite a while now, to try and, control what's in it. But we were struggling with not enough routine around it. So I would go to Costco and I would just see a bunch of things that I like and I would pick them up, bring them home. And then all of a sudden I would realize everything I bought was chicken, or everything I got was pork, or everything and so it was like the same proteins for lunch, for dinner, for lunch, for dinner, for lunch, and it was just getting, we didn't want to eat it because it was just too much of the same. So I made up a spreadsheet and I got like a whole plan made up, and it was like, this is awesome. We're going to do this. And, so lunch was dinner, or lunch was dinner. Lunch was chicken, dinner was beef. The next, and we did 4 portions of each meal for each person. And we staggered it by a day. So we started with a lunch and then had just like a random dinner. But then the next day we had the same lunch and a different dinner, which started the 4 portions of that dinner. And you could like switch which meal you chose to eat it at. But we were doing really good. And it was mostly chickens and like fish and vegetarian. And then like occasionally we were throwing in like a red meat. And this was going amazing. And we were trying recipes, we were using old recipes, and it was just working out really well. We were enjoying it. And then because everything was going great, the universe was like, no. Let's throw you a curveball again. Oh, you're enjoying that? Yeah, let's throw you a curveball again. And those issues that had come back from Mexico with me hadn't subsided and they started to get worse. So I was at work one night, and after one of the meals that we had, which was an old keto recipe. I'm not doing keto, but there are still recipes that I like that I used to do when I did do keto that I throw in every once in a while. And this was like a Tuscan chicken casserole recipe. It's fantastic, and we've done it hundreds of times over the last 2-3 years. And I was at work after eating it, and my stomach was in extreme pain. It felt like there was a balloon of gas just underneath my ribs, and it was like being twisted with my organs, and I wanted to puke, and it was just excruciating. And it lasted for about an hour and a half, and then it slowly faded away, and I was able to finish my shift, but it concerned me. So I went on my merry way. I had the same meal the next day for lunch for dinner. And at 4:00 in the morning, I was woken up out of a dead sleep to even worse pains. It was the same pressure, but this time a bit lower, and it felt like my intestines were being twisted and ripped apart. And I was puking and othering, and it was excruciating. So the following day, I decided to call, in Canada, we have like a telephone number that you can call to talk to like a nurse at any time to get advice or whatnot. I've never used it before, but I decided to call it. And she, because of the symptoms, advised me to go straight to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and after lots of testing, they wanted me to go because they wanted to rule out heart issues, which I knew it wasn't going to be heart issues, but it was fine. So we ruled that out. We did some blood testing. They wanted a stool sample, and they wanted me to come back the next day for a ultrasound. So I went back the next day for the ultrasound, and the ultrasound revealed that I had gallstones, that I had a cyst on my liver, and I have a cyst on my spleen. So I'm still waiting on an MRI. They take forever to schedule because they want to look more into the cyst on my spleen. They don't seem super concerned. It seems more of like a procedural thing just to make sure that things are okay. But you know how your mind gets when things happen. You overthink things and, whatnot. But the big thing was they wanted to put me in contact with a surgeon about my gallbladder. So they said if anything happens to come back. I started monitoring what I was eating and gearing my food more towards like super bland, super boring, try and take out anything that could trigger either the issues I was having post Mexico or now these possible gallbladder attacks, which became very difficult. So now I've gone from having a routine of meals are cooked, meals are great, we're eating everything we like, we're in a routine, and now I have to cut it all out and go to bananas and toast and rice and so I'm trying to eat enough to fuel me, but not eat too much that it's going to trigger anything, but also like it was just, but I'm not getting any help from any of the medical staff or any advice, and I'm trying to figure this all out on my own. And a few days later, after, feeling fine and trying to step out or a social, function or something, I ended up having another attack. And I've had 4 or 5 different attacks now over the past month and a half. And they are not fun. They are not, God, they are actually terrifying. Some of the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And it has been very scary for me and for Mike to go through that. Most of my attacks happen at about 4 a.m. in the morning. So my sleep has been hindered, which makes work really hard. I've been trying to work out as much as I can, but when you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning with stuff coming out both ends, it's hard to feel motivated to go to the gym, or physically you just don't feel capable of it. So trying to stick with as much of a routine as I can. Trying to eat as best as I can without triggering anything, but that's hard to know because you don't know what's actually causing the issues, because it seems like there's two different issues going on right now. And nobody knows what the gastral issues are caused from. The stool samples all came back normal. They don't think that I picked up anything in Mexico. They're not sure. And then Thursday, I had a meeting with the surgeon, and he booked me for surgery on Monday, which is 2 days from now. So I have a gallbladder removal surgery coming up, and part of that is scary, and part of that is relieving. And I'm trying to lean more into the relieving side. My mom has had this removed. Mike's dad has had this removed. Several people I know have had it removed, and almost everyone says that life was better afterwards. So I'm hopeful for that. But it's a big recovery time. So the surgeon predicted 4 to 5 weeks of recovery. And so I can't lift anything heavy. I can't work out. I can't do much of anything other than day-to-day life for about 4 to 5 weeks. So I just came home from the gym, which is why I'm all crazy and sweaty and whatnot, because I have been pushing myself so much to try and just get in every last bit that I can before I can't. And going back to, getting good routines and finally getting into a rhythm. I've been working a consistent job with a consistent crew, and I just started getting into the habit of, back it up. If you don't know, I'm a locomotive engineer. So I operate trains, and I do it in passenger service. So every station stop that I make in a night, I've gotten into the routine with my my conductor to get up and do something. So instead of just sitting all shift long and only walking at the turnaround points, we had been getting in the routine of, okay, we've made a station stop while the doors are being open and people are getting in and out of the train and everything's secure. We would get up and do squats. 10 squats, sit down, operate to the next station, get up, do 10 squats. And I make about 48 stops in a shift right now. So we did about 500 squats that first day. Then we switched it to calf raises, but 10 wasn't enough per stop. So we were doing somewhere about 20 to 30, which ended up being around 1,000. We ended up bringing in resistance bands, and we were doing arm workouts, and we were getting into this really good routine. And then I find out I have to go for surgery on Monday. And even though I was scheduled to work that shift again next week, now I don't get that, because it's like, oh, you have something good going for you. Yep, nope. Go do this and wreck your routine. And it's just feels like it's always something. But it's better to get this dealt with now, get it out. Hopefully my life improves afterwards, and I can move forward from this. I can try and stay as positive as I can. And now that at least there's some kind of answer, it doesn't feel so out of my control. Because for the longest time, I haven't wanted to make any videos or talk about anything because I don't have answers. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have anything to tell you. It was just this big question mark. And that sucks. That sucks to live with. It was affecting me in a lot of ways. It meant that in my day-to-day activities, I was grasping on any possible way of having control of the situation, which makes life very hard because then I'm either taking on too much or I'm being very picky and nitpicky with Mike, and that's not fair. So it has been a bit of a journey and a bit of a struggle. I've just been trying to put my head down and focus on what I needed to do without the outside influence and without the stress of having to get in front of a camera and then not knowing what to say, because one, the question marks were there, but two, it felt like I had nothing to give. And I know a lot of people say, in my personal life that know about the channel, they always say, but Aries, the struggles help people too. And I understand that. And I am glad that I can help people through those moments. But for me in this last 2 months, I just didn't have the strength to deal with what I was dealing with and also deal with more. So I just needed the time. And I don't know if I'll be able to devote everything I have back to this channel consistently. I want to, but we'll see how recovery goes. And I hate the idea of not knowing what to say or what to say. I don't think anybody's interested in watching another video of me saying still recovering, can't work out, I ate bananas today. I don't know. Maybe you do. But yeah, that's my update. Oh, today at Orange Theory, I did an in-body scan, and it was interesting to see that through the gastral issues that I've had since Mexico, I've dropped weight. So before Mexico, I was 247-ish or something around there. I'd gained a little bit. And then now since, all of my issues, I've been hovering around the 237, 238 range. So, one silver lining about puking constantly and always going to the bathroom is I'm down in weight and I'll take it where I can take it. But I wanted to do an in-body scan at Orange Theory to see where my muscle mass and fat content was at. And it's interesting because my muscle mass has maintained, which is awesome. So I'm sitting at 30 kgs, which I think is around 72-ish pounds. I'm not great at math. And that's a total estimation. And, but what was really cool was my fat percentage has actually dropped down drastically. I will put the actual numbers up on the screen here because I don't have them on the top of my head and I don't want to just make it up. So this is what my last scan was, and this is what my current scan is. So very cool to see. But yeah, little positive going into this. So with the recovery, I've been told I can't work out or lift heavy, but I'm going to try and go for walks. Again, I'm going into this having no idea what it's like to recover from surgery or how long I'm going to be actually down and out. But I'm hopeful that I can try and do what I can try and do, right? So, yeah, that's where I've been. That's my update. I don't really have much more for you now. I will keep you updated on how the surgery goes, how recovery goes, and what I can do to move forward from this. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for sticking it out with the channel if you've been around and, still subscribed. That's amazing. We're up to over 2,000 subscribers, and that is mind-boggling to me. So thank you for all of your love, support, and for anybody who's reached out to ask where I've been and whether I was coming back. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm sorry I was gone. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week. Bye.